Hey there, guys. EB here. Happy Friday on the Anything But Bland Weekly Update. Um, really excited about Thanksgiving next week, and I'm really grateful for all of the listeners and people that support this weekly update and support me in my endeavors. Just feeling very, very fortunate at this stage of my life and career. My partner yesterday said when you're younger, you have more life than money. So you start chasing money. And then when you get to my age, you have more money and less life. And so need to figure out the balance on how hard I keep my foot on the gas and on throats and figure out what, the rest of my life is going to look like. So this is one of the bright spots of my week. I got to tell you, I really do enjoy this. I enjoy learning and researching. I'm watching right now just the most amazing thing, the Ken Burns documentary on the Revolutionary War. I highly recommend it on PBS. Learning so much about how broad the wars were and slavery, both and the importance to England of that in the Caribbean and the African nations. So I highly recommended learning so much about it, struggling with the banjo and keeping pumping on with the harmonica. And I'm going to get some, I have had a deviated septum and I had a surgery done in 2012 that failed. And so Tuesday, I'm going to get a little bit of burning done on I think they're these side things. The name's Temerance or something. I forget the name, and they help you breathe a little better. It's like when you put Afrin in your nose, it shrinks them down on the side. So it's real quick, 15-minute little procedure, but just tweaking, trying to go gracefully into the late 60s and 70s. So let's get started. Let's just dig right in. I am disgusted with what I saw yesterday from President Trump. And don't get pissed off at me, please. Um, Remember, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, when Charlie Kirk was killed, all the Republicans were excoriating the Democrats for the vitriol, and that's what caused Charlie Kirk's death. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States yesterday called for uh, people in Congress to be hanged, okay, to be killed. That kind of vitriol, when you call congressmen and women traitors to this country and you call for them to be hanged, is a call for arms and is a disgrace. And to watch Mike Johnson and some of the other Republicans yesterday contort to try to justify what President Trump wrote and uh, Kathleen Levitt, or whatever her name, the PR secretary, is just stunning. Okay. These are veterans in Congress, Crow and Kelly, who was also an astronaut, and others who served this country, not President Flatfeet, not Daddy's boy Donnie, who draft dodged in the Vietnam War and said that he knows more than the generals, and John McCain's not a war hero, and I don't like my heroes shot down, and anybody that would serve in the military is a sucker, that he said to General John Kelly about his son, and give their life to this country. What they said is you are required to file lawful orders only, not to not follow orders, which Mike Johnson intimated in Lindsey Graham. And even Lindsey Graham said it went a bridge too far to say to hang people. But can we just stop now trying to rationalize and apologize and try to fit the square peg in a round hole for everything that this nutbag president says? Okay. And number two, all you ladies out there, where are you screaming that Trump said this week he called a reporter pigly? Are you kidding me? If any other person, any other Democrat, any other man called a woman reporter pigly simply because she asked the question about MSB, who was here from Saudi Arabia, who isn't even in the head of state, and his father is the head of state, and we put on this great program for this scumbag. Don't forget, Saudi Arabia bombed us with their flyers during 9/11, and now all of a sudden they're the greatest nation in the world. This is unbelievable. Trump got on TV and actually said, after CIA and Congress, his Congress in 2019 said that MSB knew that Khashoggi, an American citizen and a journalist, was executed at the knowledge and request of MSB. Trump says he believes that MSB knew nothing about it and said these things happen. Are you kidding me? Hey, an American citizen killed on foreign soil by a foreign dignitary who we then have in the White House and we roll out the red carpet for simply because Trump wants to do business and his family has three major projects into consideration in Saudi Arabia. And he gets pissed off about questions about what MSB knew about Khashoggi. He gets pissed off about the Epstein questions, even though his party soundly rejected him. Okay. He was telling them, you cannot vote for releasing the Epstein files, and yet they disregard them, and all of them did. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. And then he gets upset about the business relationships that his family has. Give me a break, okay? And he turns and calls a journalist pigly, and then he says ABC should have its license pulled. He's going to talk to his great FCC commissioner who already tried to do that with Jimmy Kimmel. This is unbelievable, folks. We're living in a fantasy world where a president of the United States can say that elected officials should be hanged. This guy, this draft dodger, this guy, this crook, this convicted felon, fraudster. Are you kidding me? When is it going to end? The gerrymandering puzzle that Trump tried to do in Texas, well, that was just thrown out by the district court, a district court judge that Trump appointed. So that's going to go up on appeal. I think it was a 3-judge panel that had to hear that on the district court level. And we'll see where the Supreme Court stands. But that really backfired because Wyoming now said they're not doing gerrymandering. North Carolina did it, but that's subject to a lawsuit. And now California, by the people, voted to re-gerrymander California for the Democrats. It could turn out that this is going to backfire on Trump big time. The Democrats are going to get 5 more seats in California. Trump isn't going to get anything in Texas. Trump said about Powell, the head of the Federal Reserve, he told Scott Bessent, who's toes the water for Trump on every single thing from tariffs to high inflation to affordability, trying to peddle this canard that there's no affordability problem in this country. I got affordability problems. You know what they are? I'm spending too much money. I have it, okay? I'm one of the blessed few that has it and can spend it. And yeah, I don't like spending $10 a pound or $12 a pound for hamburger meat or whatever, but I can do it. But other people can't. Scott Bessent, who is just, the what I consider to be the worst Treasury Secretary and the worst head of the IRS that we have ever had, along with Kristi Noem, along with a whole host of other cabinet officials that he has, including Pete Hegseth and that scumbag Brad Martin, who is doling out all these pardons and trying to bring criminal charges against everybody. He said to Scott Bessent, if you don't find a way to get rid of Powell, I'm going to get rid of you. So what we're seeing is, I think we're going to have a high turnover of cabinet officials after the first of the year. I heard that Susie Wilds, the chief of staff, is also not on the high list of everyone. The secretary for energy, who is a fracking guy from Colorado, Trump's on the outs with him because he's claiming that the guy isn't fracking quick enough. He was on the outs with Tulsi Gabbard, and early on in the summer, Pete Hegseth over the Signal chat group text thing, and that report's going to come out shortly. So it's going to be an interesting, anniversary of his first year of his presidency. And again, it's the most consequential presidency of our lifetime. You could say it's good. I say it's bad. But it is consequential. I will say that he is doing exactly what he campaigned on, which is unique in this world of politics. Today, he's going to be meeting with Zohran Mamdani, the new mayor-elect of New York. They're going to talk about affordability. I think the guy's going to get excoriated in the Oval Office, just like Trump did to Zelensky earlier this year. I think he's going to use it as an occasion to belittle this guy. Mamdani, call him a communist. I have no love for Mamdani, did not support him, would not support him, think it's horrible for New York. But Mamdani is absolutely crazy for putting himself in a position to be humiliated by Trump. The president issued this warning to Basant. If you don't get it fixed, I'm going to fire your ass, okay? That's what he said about Scott Bessent, his Treasury Secretary and his head of the IRS. Is that how a president should talk? I mean, I don't understand it. I really don't. Is this what we want in our leaders? Is this what we want to teach our kids in elementary school when we were taught about the lofty notions of freedom by George Washington and Jefferson and John Adams and John Quincy Adams and Monroe, the Monroe Doctrine, and Jacksonian democracy, and Abraham Lincoln and Teddy Roosevelt, speak softly, carry a big stick, FDR, Truman, if you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen, Reagan, the beacon on the hill. Come on, man. This is getting nuts, okay? It's just getting nuts. And the more he says it and the more he's not curbed by the Republicans in the House and the Senate, the more brazen he is getting. This morning, he said he wants to put 107% tariff on pasta. Folks, Italians, we love Italy. We love our pasta. We love our winter comfort meals of spaghetti and meatballs and lasagna and baked ziti and rigatoni and tortellini. I mean, come on, man. Can the insanity stop? The Republican Party, again, insists that there's no affordability crisis in this country. They dismiss the losses that they suffered by the Democrats 2 weeks ago by saying it's a socialist problem that they're having. Yes, we do have to reckon in our country between socialism and democracy, and the Democrats need to do that in their own house. Yes, a socialist got elected as a mayor of Seattle and of New York City. I think it's isolated. If I start seeing this party moving to that left nationally in really blue-red states, purple states, then I'm going to speak out really forcefully, because I do not believe in Sanders. I do not believe in AOC. I do not believe in Mamdani, and I do not believe in the squad. So both parties are putting their heads in the sand right now. The Republicans by saying that they don't have an electability problem and that they're not being dragged down by Trump, who's got the lowest approval ratings ever of his presidency, first, second term, and he's below what Biden's approval ratings were at Biden's worst. He's reeling from a spectacular defeat. It's easily the worst defeat that he's had since he's been president in 2015. He told his party, do not vote to release the Epstein files. And they resoundingly voted every single one of the House of Representatives except one. All Republicans, all Democrats except one voted to release the Epstein files. And then all of a sudden he tries to claim victory saying, I told them to do it. No, he didn't. No, he brought Boebert into the White House last Friday or Thursday and tried to convince her to vote against releasing the files so that she wouldn't be the 218th vote. It is a resounding defeat. It's the beginning of him being a lame duck president. No, there's going to be a lot more coming down the road, but they showed that they can buck him and that he didn't win. I spoke at length about, that the Democrats that he said should be hanged. I think it's the one of the worst things I've ever heard anybody say. Now he's trying to get the DOJ to probe the Epstein contacts with Democrats, Larry Summers, obviously with Prince Andrews, with Bill and Hillary Clinton. Interesting whether he's going to do it with others like Alan Dershowitz, who is a lawyer that supported him, and Reed Kaufman, another individual. The problem is he's telling them, just the DOJ, look at the Democrats, but don't look at the Republicans or don't look at me. Folks, when he tells DOJ to release all the documents, they're not going to do it. They are never going to release all the documents because he just started a criminal investigation. No sooner did he text and tweet out that he wanted a criminal investigation started, that Pam Bondi, within an hour, appointed the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney to investigate the Clintons and all Democrats. And what's going to happen is they're not going to release documents, folks, because they're going to say it's part of an ongoing criminal investigation. There is a there. Did Trump have sex with these young girls? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Was Trump close to the inner circle of the Epsteins? 100%. Did he understand what was going on with him and the young girls? 1,000%. Was Trump a womanizer through the 90s and early 2000s when he wasn't running for president? Yeah, he was a serial cheater. Don't forget the Access Hollywood tape where he said, I grabbed the women by their you know what, and then they do whatever I say. And he thought it was funny. Okay. He believes that. Okay. One of the women who came forward, who was an Epstein woman, said Trump grabbed her and did the same exact thing that he bragged to Billy Bush about. So there's never been an attorney general like Pam Bondi. She is beyond what I consider to be what we want in an attorney general. She is not independent of the executive branch office of the presidency. She is a lapdog for Donald Trump. She does whatever he says. He tweets out, put an investigation on somebody. She impanels a grand jury and gets an indictment. She will go down in history as the worst attorney general in our country, worse than Eric Holder, who I didn't really like during the Obama administration. This is selective prosecution, Trump saying to go after the Democrats under the guise of accountability. Again, he did this so that documents could not be released. That's the Trojan horse, him selling, well, I'm telling the Justice Department to release the documents, but they can't. He's going to end up blaming it on the Justice Department. Jeffrey Epstein definitely had dirt on Donald Trump, according to Epstein's brother. He said, everything the president is saying is a lie. So we shall see what comes about that. I just was stunned that Trump is saying that MSB knew nothing about Khashoggi's execution. The James Comey indictment, boy, is that on shaky water. Evidently, his handpicked prosecutor, Lindy Halligan, had to admit to the judge this week that the grand jury didn't actually see the final indictment. They're supposed to see not the initial indictment, but when it's superseded by another indictment or the charges, they're supposed to see that, and they didn't see it. As a CEO, if I was a CEO of a company, I'm the head partner of my law firm. If I was to call a subordinate woman, female, a pig, I would be fired. I should be fired. I should be sued. I don't understand how he can do this. And Republican men who were supposed to deal with marriage and the love of a woman and the sanctity of the family could sit by and listen to this scum shit call women's pigs. Okay. If he was in front of me, I would spit in his face and tell him, how dare you talk about women as pigs? And I'm sorry, I'm so worked up over it, but it really just grinds me to a halt. Dick Cheney, he died. He was the former vice president to George W. Bush. They called him the Dark Knight. He was Darth Vader, supposedly the architect of all of the wars that Bush got us into. Unbelievable public servant, was in the House of Representatives for Wyoming, was Secretary of Defense, was Chief of Staff, Vice President of the United States. Just an amazing, amazing man. I thought very smart. Trump and his vice president, J.D. Vance, were not invited to the funeral this week, obviously by what he did to Lynn Cheney and what he said to Cheney's daughter. It's not a surprise. The Federal Appeals Court affirmed the dismissal of Trump's $475 million defamation lawsuit against CNN for using the term big lie about the 2020 election. He said that Trump's allegations in his complaint the appellate court said, were unpersuasive and meritless. Trump has not adequately alleged the falsity of CNN's statement. Again, therefore, what we see, sound and fury signifying nothing. Faulkner's idiot. That's what Trump is, a frickin' idiot, full of sound and fury, bellicose, and signifying nothing. Okay? Uh, Here's another thing that just was totally outrageous. President Trump this week defended the indefensible. Tucker Carlson gave a friendly interview to a known Nazi, anti-Semite, white supremacist, Nick Fuentes, who Trump actually had dinner with at Mar-a-Lago a couple years ago and said, "Oh, I really didn't know who he is." Well, now he knows who he is. And he's an openly anti-Semite. And Trump said it was a fine interview, nothing wrong with it. And then later he receives a thank you note from Nick Fuentes, who says, "Thank you very much, Mr. President." As a result of that, the preeminent conservative think tank, Heritage Foundation, that's it. That's where all the conservatives go. When they leave the House and the Senate and politics, they go work for the Heritage Foundation. A couple of their board members resigned as a result of the Heritage Foundation not speaking out about Nick Fuentes. Listen, evil persists when good men and women stand quiet. Okay, it's okay for Republicans and middle of the road people like me to stand up and say, no, we're not going to tolerate white supremacists like Nick Fuentes. But again, Trump and the Republicans seem to think it's okay. Folks, I'm living in George Costanza's bizarro world. This week, I saw a stateswoman in Marjorie Taylor Greene, the woman who said Jews are shooting space lasers to change the weather, all of her vitriol that she put out. She finally answered the question and said, I am responsible in my own right for the toxic political environment. She now is being attacked by Donald Trump. Donald called her Marjorie Trader Brown. Brown because green turns to brown when it rots. He called her a traitor because she wanted the Epstein files to be released and because she's talking about the affordability problems that are being experienced by her constituents. He's called her wacky. This was his biggest supporter, folks. She apologized for her past behavior. Is this genuine or is it craven? Is it craven that she's going to run for governor of Georgia or for the Senate seat of Raphael Mornock, the preacher, black senator from Georgia? Warnock is his name. Is that because she's doing it, or is she a change of heart? I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt until she proves me wrong. But she said, let me tell you what a traitor is. A traitor is the president of the United States who goes to a foreign government to lap all over them for his own individual benefit and business deals. A patriot is somebody who advocates the best interests of their country. I think this rupture exposed the divides within the MAGA movement about Epstein. Trump certainly used the Epstein matter to his benefit when he was running for election. So we're just going to have to see. Greene said that she worries now about the threats that she's getting to her physical well-being, death threats, and to her family because of this harsh rhetoric. And she says, all I'm doing is standing up for women. Is she a traitor or is she a patriot? I think in this instance, she's a patriot. A group of Republican senators have expressed concern over the Trump's administration of suspending more than $11 billion of transportation funding to Democrat-leaning states. This is Republicans now flexing their muscles in the House and the Senate saying that, you know what, this is transportation that not only benefits just the blues, but it benefits Republicans as well. He had a meltdown over the failed redistricting effort in Indiana. And what we're starting to see, folks, is that Republicans are starting to get their footing, realizing that midterm elections are coming up, that Trump's a lame duck president, and they have to start carving their own way independent from Trump. Um, the One of the federal judges ruled on Monday, Magistrate Judge William Fitzpatrick, that the Justice Department has engaged in a disturbing pattern of profound investigative missteps into the way in indicting Jim Comey. The federal judge directed prosecutors to produce to defense lawyers all grand jury materials in the case. So this is courts starting to see that these were targeted prosecutions based on retribution. Trump has lowered the tariffs on coffee, on beef, and fruits as Americans concerned about affordability grow. The new exemptions are part of what the traders have dubbed taco, or Trump always chickens out, to describe when he backs off of policy after unintended consequences pop up for the increase in coffee and in beef and in fruit prices. Trump has already reversed a number of his measures on tariffs, a sign that his administration is reshaping his signature economic tool. Trump also moved this week to strip protections for endangered and threatened species and habitats. Some of that I may agree on, some of that I disagree on. But remember what the word conservative means, folks. It came from the word to conserve. I think we have an obligation for future generations to conserve the beauty in our world, whether it's trees, whether it's a landscape, mountains, lakes, and certain animals. I do believe that. Germany just put a large number on the map. They found an extraordinary deep and broad well of in the Altmark Basin that holds 43 million tons of lithium carbide equivalent, enough to form all the electrical necessary for the electric car batteries going forward. The FAA lifted their order on slashing plane flights to commercial airlines this week, and we're back on regular schedule, which is great going into Thanksgiving week. The Ford CEO, Jim Farley, lamented that they can't even fill 5,000 mechanical jobs that pay $120,000 a year. And this goes back to what we've talked about, that not everybody should go to college, just like not everybody should own a home. It's okay to rent. It's okay to go to technical school. I haven't seen really young electricians, young plumbers, or young mechanics in a long time when I go to get stuff worked on or people come to my house. These are good jobs, and I think the technical schools should be promoting hiring people to teach them, or to enrolling people to teach young kids how to be mechanics. Let's see what else we have. Michelle Obama said the country isn't ready for a woman president. I disagree. I think they're ready for the right woman president. I think it could happen. I'm hopeful that it happens in my lifetime. I absolutely think that the best leaders in our country right now are women. I think the best senators are women, and I think the strongest House members that have served in the military are doing great. Trump gave a pardon to two people who were tangentially involved with January 6th this week. They threatened FBI officers with guns when they showed up to question them about January 6th, and they were charged. They pulled guns on FBI officers, and Trump gave these two people a pardon. I don't care what the FBI is. If they come to your door and you pull a gun on them, you should be criminally charged. You don't have a curbside courtroom. We don't have back alley justice. It's just a disgrace that Trump shows again that he doesn't stand behind the blue. It's really unbelievable to me. The pardoning that has been going on is truly problematic. President Trump reacted a little nonplussed with Ted Cruz saying that he's going to make a White House bid in 2028, because I think that Trump is going to try to get a third term. Olivia Nuzzi wrote a book that said that RFK told her he loved her. He revealed she revealed what their favorite body parts of each other were. She said it was his eyes and his nose. Um, Her ex fiance claims that she actually slept with our former governor, Mark Sanford. Um, Larry Summers, former president of Harvard, who teaches there economics and sits on the board of OpenAI and other companies, he had to resign all of his positions this week. He is really embarrassed, and should be, by the emails that were released on Epstein. He talks to Epstein even after he got married, about getting horizontal with one of the young women. He's a disgrace. He's a scumbag. And if he did something with these women, he should be prosecuted. Mamdani, the New York elect mayor, said he wants to raise the state corporate tax to 11.5% from 7.25%. And when you put all the other New York taxes in place, it takes it up to 23% that New Yorkers will pay for increased taxes with this joker who comes in as mayor. It's just beyond anything. J.D. Vance blamed the housing affordability crisis in our country on undocumented immigrants. And then said again, it's just more misinformation and fake news put out by Democrats. Kenny Easley, who was a Pro Bowl safety, Hall of Famer from the Seattle Seahawks in the 90s and 2000s, he died at 66 years old. Very sad. O.J. Simpson's estate, the personal representative of his estate, the executor, signed off on a $8 million payout to Ron Goldman's father, decades after the shocking double murder of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown Simpson. I'm not sure they have the money. The judgment was $130 million with interest tacked onto it, but at least they've acknowledged that there's going to be a $58 million payout. The USC versus Texas A&M game, folks, I don't know what to say. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. 283 to 1, 283 prior games, SEC teams that had a 27-point lead going into halftime ended up winning the game, except USC. So that's a new statistic that Shane Beamer has found. This is a coaching problem we have, folks. Shane Beamer's a really nice guy. Never have been an offensive coordinator or any kind of defensive coordinator. He is a really nice man, seems to be doing a great job recruiting, but he cannot teach these kids how to win, and he can't coach them during a game to hold on to a lead to win. Look at the LSU game, look at the Alabama game, look at the Mississippi game, look at the Texas A&M game. I don't know where this program is going to go after Lenore Sellers leaves and the big wide receiver leaves, as well as the defensive end, who is an amazing sack artist. I just don't see where this program is going anywhere. James Franklin took the Virginia Tech job, So any hope that we were going to have that Shane Beamer was going to leave and go take the Virginia Tech job and we'd get a new coach is out the window. I think Beamer may have another year, or no more than two, but he could lose his job next year. John Gruden, who's been sitting on the sidelines, a former NFL coach, really sharp guy, former Super Bowl winner. He was fired from the Raiders after some racist texts were released. He's a candidate for the Arkansas job. Lane Kiffin is the go-to guy right now for LSU, for Florida, for some of the bigger name programs. He isn't going to go north to Penn State. Eli Drinkwitz from Missouri is a hot candidate, as well as Summerall, the coach for Tulane. Actor Kevin Spacey, who is an Oscar winner, who once was one of the biggest stars in Hollywood, thanks to such hits as L.A. Confidential and then the Usual Suspects, Seven. He says he's now homeless, and that's a result of the gay revelations that came out, and whether he assaulted younger men. So that is something that is interesting. The audience questions this week are on COJ. We talked about Liz having a deposition with a Parker attorney. That case is going to come to trial in May, where Mark Tinsley is suing for the wrongful release by investigators to Vicky Ward, who did a documentary. I was on that documentary of autopsy pictures of Mallory Beach that should never have been released, and some other things that investigators obtained. That's going to be an interesting trial, and I would not bet against Mark Tinsley. I talked about Donald Trump defending MSB of killing the Khashoggi. This is going against CIA intel, going against congressional committees that investigated this. Look, folks, this is just par for the course. During the first administration, he said he believed President Putin over our own CIA, that there was no Russian interference in his 2016 election. It's no different than him on foreign soil criticizing former presidents Obama and Bush. It's just, there's no bottom to this scumbag, okay? And that's what he is. I'm calling the President of the United States a scumbag, okay? He shows it every single day. When you show your ass, you're an ass, okay? It is beyond me. The House voted again 427-1 to release Jeffrey Epstein's files, which is a resounding loss to Trump. The federal judge rules that law requiring display of 10 commandments in Texas classrooms is unconstitutional. Again, we have a secular society. We separate church and state. I don't think that we should favor one religion over the other. I'm a big believer in the 10 commandments, folks. It's Old Testament. I'm Jewish. I believe it 100%, but it's not supposed to be in the school. School, we teach about literature. We teach about history. We teach about math. We teach science. We can have a religion class in school where we teach this, but we're not going to put it up on the walls. The poll shows that the Democrats have the biggest advantage for control of Congress in 8 years. I think it's going to happen unless Trump does something to change the election or postpone it and declare martial law. He will do something. If the polls are showing he's going to get crushed, the Republicans are going to get crushed, because he will be impeached if the House turns back to Democrat. And if the House turns to Senate, then it could be a real problem for him. But he's definitely going to be impeached. He may not be convicted in the Senate. The White House apologized for the Georgia raid that they did on the Hyundai factory. Again, that was the dumbest thing in the world. If foreign countries are going to bring their corporations here, if ICE is going to go, remember, they were going to go get drug addicts, criminals, and rapists, which everybody wanted. But now they're going after everybody, which nobody wanted. The Murdaugh Death in the Family has been an amazing series. I had a lot of people say to me, again, why I wasn't in it. Can't give you a real good answer, but that's Hollywood for you. They rewrote a lot of, where I would fit in. Obviously, Tony Satterfield didn't go to Mark Tinsley. Gloria Satterfield's brother, Eric Harriet, went to Mark Tinsley, and Mark Tinsley called me. Mark Tinsley didn't go to Tony Satterfield, and Tony Satterfield wasn't the one who called Mark Tinsley. It was Eric Harriet, and Mark Tinsley didn't go to Mandy Matney first. He went to me, but it's okay. It's the same thing. The story was great. It was a riveting episode. The last episode, number 8, I think the person, Jason, who played Alex Murdaugh, should get an Academy Award for that. So let's look at all the people that are listening here that I'm so honored to hear. Isa McCurry said, "Thank you so much for speaking out against tyranny." Jane Graham Mocker said, "It's unbelievable with the words that come out of Trump's mouth." Barbara Daring called it keg's breath, beer breath. Jane Graham Mocker again said, "I have no idea how he gets away with everything. He is the original Teflon Don, not John Gotti. I think he's more of a Teflon Don than John Gotti, who managed not to be convicted in 4 straight trials, racketeering trials. Barbara Darling said he's insane, he's incompetent, and he's insidious, the 3 I's. Jane says he's unfit. Jane Gorham Mocker again says he has diarrhea of the mouth. Naomi McMillan says, as a 24-year military veteran, I've never been as offended as I am with this administration. And no, I don't want a president who thinks it's okay to act like that, act and speak like this to others. Barbara Darling says, I honestly blame Mitch McConnell for this evil disaster. He could have kicked this pig out of the trough years ago. I agree. He said he should have been impeached after January 6th. You remember that. Barbara Darling agreed with me and said Pam Bondi's worse than John Nixon's AG, which was Holderman or Ehrlichman, one of the two. Barbara Darling said, you're being nice calling him a scumbag. I've called him much worse. So everybody, have a great weekend. Thanks for listening to me ramble on, and EB out. If you get a chance, Christmas is coming up. Buy my book, Anything But Bland, Sticking in Somebody's Stocking. You want to learn more about my law firm, go to www.blamrichter.com. And I'm just so grateful you all listen to me. Thank you and goodbye.